but we're going to make the best of it anyway. I was asked several weeks ago if I would just share some things that go on in my classroom that might be helpful. And I do not want to stand up here and be the sole source of information. I would like to let this be a discussion. I'd like for this to be something where you can feel free to add some things that you do, because there's some things that you do, I'm sure, that could add to this experience as well. But hopefully I can give you just a couple of things that you can walk out of here with and say, I'd like to try that. Maybe that might help, okay? So, this is something that initially was supposed to be geared for beginning teachers, and there's not that many beginning teachers in here, but there are a few. But I just thought I would just go over some core things, some things that when we were going through the pedagogical studies in university that, have for me happened over 30 years ago, that I have to just kind of remind myself of on a daily basis when I walk in here. And one of these I found from Janet Kitten, and I'm going to give her the credit for it because she's the one that said it. I heard her say, you know what, when we walk through those doors that come into the classroom, our personal stuff has to stay behind. We just have to be on task, on target, ready to go, no matter what kind of junk happened at home. Okay? I understand that all of us have a bad day, all of us have a bad night, or we've got kids that were sick or whatever, and we can come up here at times and just feel frayed. And at that point, you just got to stop and take a breath and breathe and say, you know what, Lord, you're going to have to help me get through this day. I've got a couple of guys sitting on the floor. Let's get the
There's
chairs.
one up here.
Yeah, I don't want, there's a place up here by Janet, and there's another chair right here. So, what I would encourage you to do is when you have those times where you walk in and you just feel like, I'm not sure I can make it through the day, I feel like I'm coming down with the flu, so-and-so was up all night throwing up last night, or, I just wish it was Friday and it's Tuesday, and you just feel crazy, Stop and grab somebody and just have them pray with you to make sure that when you're walking in, you're putting your best foot forward. Because people do have a choice. They do have a choice in town. I just drove down Indiana the other day and saw another academy that's cropped up. And I don't know if it had anything to do with Indiana Avenue Church or not, but it's in their old building, and Sharp Academy, I think is what it is. So we've got several things that are starting to pop up now, and we are not the only game in town, and people are paying for this. So that's one piece of advice that I'd like to share with you on that, and I think you know that. I think you realize that, but sometimes we just need to remind ourselves of that. Another thing is preparedness and organization. Would you just look around the room, talk amongst yourselves here a little bit, and would you look around the room and see if there's anything in here that tells you there's some organization and some structure going on? Call out some things that you see.
Over your different files and stuff.
Okay?
What you're studying, I assume.
Phone cubbies. What
It
else?
looks like you already have the papers on the table ready to go.
Had the papers on the table ready to go. I walked down the hall a while ago and Coach Neal said, you look like you're ready to go. He was going by visual cue. Okay? All right, what else? The screen's got information on it, it's going, and by the way, I have this running on days when we're going to have a test. So the kids walk in the room, and Janet's seen it before. They walk in, and they sit down, and they're like, yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, what was that? And they're like, can you slow it down? And I'm like, no. You gotta, it's gonna go in a loop, and it's gonna go. So you just wait till it comes around again. And they're going over it, and they're thinking about it. And it's a great way to review, and I don't have to say, okay, everyone sit down, and try to round up the cats and get them to sit in their seats and all that kind of stuff. They're like focused in on that, okay? And I don't have to do a whole lot except prepare this ahead of time. This, by the way, is called Flashcard app. And this is something that I can put my own pictures in, I can put my own wording in, I can put as many slides on there as I want to per unit, and then I punch play. I can even lengthen the time that it takes in between slides before it shows the answer, or shorten it. I can adjust that. So it's called the flashcard app, and I think it was $3.99 or something like that. Okay? Nobody noticed the cards. Anybody know anything about the cards?
I did, I've seen,
Did you?
I've seen these all over school, I have no idea.
Okay, all right.
So, I
Kyle,
thought we were
know
Christian
that you-
school, I didn't know we gambled.
All right, okay. We're not gonna play poker today, but Kyle, can you tell us how these have worked for you? Because I saw these first in your room, so I'm gonna give you credit for it.
I have these on every desk, and then I have a set of my own, and so then, like, if I'm asking a question, I'll have them draw a card, and then whoever has the same card on their desk has to answer the question. And then sometimes I'll do it like, you're gonna be in groups, and I'll be like, 1, 2, 3, you three are in a group together, and then it's based on. And then also, the card that's on their desk is the card where they put their phone. So, that's how I use them.
You might say, okay, everybody in the heart suit, get up and do such and such. Everybody that has an odd number, get up and do such and such. By the way, who's queen for the day?
You were, as we moved you down.
She's the queen.
I don't see a queen here.
You're the queen.
Oh,
It's behind your back.
Okay, you
I
are the
should've
queen
stolen
for,
it.
okay, you're the queen for the day, so I would give you some special tasks that you could, that only you would do, you know, okay? And, so these can be attached to the desk, or you can pick them up and you can move them around, okay? However you see fit to use them, but it's just a way of saying, you know, this is where we're gonna organize, this is where we're gonna break up into groups, the odds over here, the evens over here, the reds over here, the blacks over here. Just doing something like that, and it's just real easy, real quick, okay? All right? So, another thing that I thought was important is how do you transition? How do you transition between activities, okay? I would dare say that the way you transition between activities probably should be one of the most important things that you do when you sit and do your lesson plans, okay? Because that's when, if you are not ready to go, you don't have your stuff ready to go, you don't have things set up, then all of a sudden, the kids are gonna be looking around like, well, I guess this is gonna take a while, so I'm gonna think of something else to do. Well, then I'm gonna start talking, or I'm gonna start, you know, poking, or I'm gonna start getting, you know, getting busy with something, and I'm gonna get everybody distracted. So they're gonna find something to do if you don't actually have your ducks in a row, okay? So fortunately, I've got my ducks in a row today, so I'd like for you to take the cup on your desk, and I'd like for you to get some chalk out. And I'd like for you to kind of push your paper up to the page there. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something wicked, okay? All right, and the kids absolutely love doing this because it's a little edgy. It's, you know, it's just kind of like out there. And so a lot of kids like enjoy doing this. Okay, your chalk actually works like a blackboard on these desks, okay? All right, so here's what I want you to do. You've been watching the stuff going on up here. I'm going to freeze it, and I want you to see if you can write down the names of the 5 kingdoms. Go.
What?
Go. 5 kingdoms of biology. There are visual cues around the room.
I don't know how about this stuff in like forever. Are we looking around? Oh, I thought we had different.
Okay, who thinks they got all 5? Oh, there's 5.
Oh, there's 5. I wrote down 5. I don't know what.
Okay, did everybody get animal?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, did we get plant?
Yeah.
All right, did we get fungi? You gotta love fungi because they're fun guys. That's another thing, you gotta have some humor.
There's
Yeah.
Spongy and Mungus.
Batista Kingdom and the Monera Kingdom. I'm sure those were just right on.
Oh, they were on
Which one?
the
Yeah.
same.
The what?
Okay.
What were the last
Okay.
two?
All right. Take the paper towel on your desk and use it as your eraser. Okay. All right. Let's do a little English here since we've got some English folks in here. All right. Name 4 works of Shakespeare. Go.
Oh, go.
4 works of Shakespeare.
But just keep going.
I know. You shorthanded.
Oh, well, that's easier.
All right. Stop. Okay. So, chalk down. Okay. Who got 4? Who got more than 4? Really?
I cheated.
So did I. Okay.
I had a great English teacher, so I remember.
Is there something that you think you could use that for?
I
Now,
don't have.
Janet just told me that the expo markers work on the brown desk.
That's what they use in their classroom.
All right.
I like the expert.
What could you use that for in your classroom? Yes.
When my kids were doing a timeline in history, I was drawing on.
Perfect. That's great. What else?
We do our math problems on the table instead of in the books.
Math problems on the table. Excellent.
Vocabulary and spelling review.
Vocabulary and spelling review. Nice. Anything else? What about verses? What about memory verses? Okay. What about steps, ordering, map drawing, any of that kind of stuff? Okay. So this is kind of like another version of the little whiteboards. Okay. And I've got some little whiteboards that we can do, but you know my classes have kind of grown to the point where I don't have as many for everybody. But we do have some. Another thing that I think is important in my class is to make sure that I am hitting all 3 modes of learning every single day. Every day. Okay? So, I am hitting kinesthetic, I am hitting visual, and I'm hitting auditory. And I'm doing that multiple times. Okay? So what you just did was a little bit of kinesthetic. Stand up, you've been sitting for a while. Stand up. Okay, I need you to come up here and get real close. Come in here and get real close. Come on up. Come on up.
I have to
Come
stay
on
here
up.
and this.
Scoot in here. Close, close, close. Okay. All right. Now I want to see how creative you guys can be because my students can get very creative with this. We're going to diffuse in this room, and that means that you're going to have to spread out. Right now you're in a concentrated area, high solute concentration. You're going to diffuse, meaning you're going to move to a part of the room where you can't touch anybody else, but you have to stay in the room. And be creative. Go. There's one. There you go. Feel around. See if, yes, there you go. All right. Can you touch anybody around you? Ooh. Okay. Well, hold your hands out. See if you can touch anybody. Okay. All right. Got a couple on the desk, on the chair. Nice. Good. One under the table. Okay. Yeah, 2 under the table. Okay. We're hiding. All right. Okay. Great. Come back and stand behind your desk. And pull your chair out and put one leg in your chair. Now, not all of you may be able to do this. Okay? All right, did you ever watch the Dead Poet Society when he told them all to stand in their chair?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so here's what I do in a muscle illustration. Okay, we're about to start doing the muscular system, and I'm talking about the act of using your quadriceps and your hamstrings and your gluteus to help you climb stairs. So when I say 1, 2, 3, you're going to stand up in your chair slowly. Slowly. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, slowly up. Did you feel it?
Oh, yeah.
Feel the pull.
Have a brief
Like
feel.
it's like it's helping to pull your leg down.
I'm really glad
Helping to pull your leg
this is
down, okay? All right, now, when I say 3, I want you to put one leg down and slowly come back down. Ready? See if you can feel that gluteus working. Ready? And go.
There it is. There it is. There.
And okay.
I got some real interesting pictures on that one.
Okay. All right. Put your hands up like this. Okay. All right. We're going to go through the phases of mitosis. This is another thing I like to do with my students to get them physically involved in that. If you remember mitosis, this is asexual reproduction and cells growing and dividing. Okay. So this is interphase. Say it with me. Interphase. And we're going to do prophase like this because the chromosomes make copies of themselves and get into X formation. Ready? Let's start with interphase. Interphase, prophase. Okay, now after that, the third phase is metaphase. So it's like the people with the steeple and all that. Okay, so this is metaphase where the chromosomes line up down the middle of the cell. So let's start over. Interphase, prophase, metaphase. Now we're going to do anaphase where we pull apart like this. Okay, that's anaphase. Let's do them all again. Here we go. Interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase. And now we're going to do telophase, and we stop right there for just a minute and say cytokinesis, and then we close it off, and now we've got 2 cells. Sweet! Okay, all right, so here we go. Ready? Here we go. Interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, cytokinesis, telophase. Boom, we got 2 cells. 2 cells, all right? Now, I've got seniors that will do that on one of my tests, and I'm okay with that. They're not saying anything, but they're doing it. Okay, they're thinking about it. They're getting it done. Okay, have a seat.
We give our motions with Bible verses a lot of times that help
Yes.
us to remember Bible verses.
Yes, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Because it gets it down in your heart because you're doing something kinesthetically. You're watching other people do it. You're saying it. You're using all 3 modes of learning. Okay? All right, so I thought I would show you a couple of things that my students do while I'm in here. You've seen the notorious yellow pieces of paper, but you only see them rolled up. You don't really see them when they're out working on them. So I just thought I'd show you some things that we do with that. This is our infamous body drawings that we do in here. So every time that we go through a body system, the very first day of class, they sit down in the commons area, they trace themselves, and then they add a body system to it every time we study in class. Why do I take time to do that? Now, I've seen various ways that this is done down in elementary, but really what this does is it makes it personal for them. And anything, absolutely anything that we can do to make your subject area relevant and personal to them, they'll grasp it, they'll hang on to it, okay? If they don't have any reason why they think that they're learning something, they might memorize it for a test and then they're just going to forget it, okay? So any way that you can make it relevant, personal, something that has to do with them, then they're more likely to hang on to it. I've got another one that we have been doing, and this is something I like to do to incorporate other studies into my class. Liz Keith gave me this idea and was kind of the inspiration behind these clay body things. Okay? So I hand out a little bag of clay like this with all the various colors on it, and we go through, you know, and it's like, where is my pancreas? Well, it's down there somewhere. So now if I do that, I know exactly where it is. It's that yellow thing. And it's tucked up under my stomach. And then my gallbladder, where is that? It's that green thing right there. That's that green thing that Grandma got taken out, you know. And then we talk about the heart, and they're like, dude, what's up with that heart? Why is it two colors? Well, then we stop and we talk about, well, one side is oxygenated and the other side is not, okay? And one side has stuff that's gone to the lungs and not. And if you notice, your lungs are, they're not shaped the same. So you got 3 sections over here, you got 2 sections over here. Put a little texture to it, and all of a sudden, when I say pancreas to them, it's not an alien contraption down in their abdomen somewhere. They actually kind of know where it is. So it gives them some awareness. These are just some things that I do to bring in other disciplines into my classroom. History is another big one. That's a real good one. We just got through talking about fungus in my class. And so I sat and I told them the tale about how Peter the Great was rampaging through Europe, and he was pretty much conquering the entire known world until he got to a few communities, and a few communities heard that he was coming, and soldiers of that day would walk into a village and they would say, feed us, we're here, give us some food. They knew they were coming, they knew that tactic, so they went out and they found some rye grain out in the field that had been contaminated by a fungus called ergot of rye. And they knew it was deadly. And so they took that rye and they made bread out of it. And so when the soldiers came to town, they fed that ergot of rye bread to those soldiers. The soldiers ate it and went hysterically mad and crazy and died. And a majority of his army was killed and stopped at that point because they did that because of a fungus. Okay, so I just brought in a historical fact. Okay, so what are some things that you guys do to bring in other disciplines in your class? I'm not the only one that does that. So what are some things that you do? Please tell us.
Well, we're reading, 2 books that we're reading are on the Reformation, so we're not just reading anything, we're actually reading about William Tyndale and John Wycliffe in the translation of the Bible for the common man. So that's how I bring history into my class.
Excellent. Good.
We just read today about a shipwreck on the Mediterranean, totally different story in Latin. But then we talked about, did they know about Paul's shipwreck in the same area, same winter anyway, just so brought in the Bible story in Acts.
Nice. Good.
Now talk about Galileo and how he was excommunicated from the church because of his statements on the orbits of planets around the sun, moving away from the Earth-centric view. And he was a patron of the Pope at the time, so they put him under house arrest. And eventually he couldn't keep his mouth shut, so he was excommunicated, reinstated in 1996 by the church.
A little after the,
After the fact.
a little bit after he died then, huh? Okay. Anything else?
In reading, we've been doing historical fiction, and it was, one was about a girl that had polio, and they were talking about iron lungs and stuff, so the kids didn't know what it is. So we kind of researched it so they could see what those things were and where in history it was coming from, and so it was really helpful for them to understand their book more by going back and looking at those ideas.
Nice. Good. Tell us about your research.
For some years I've been doing an iSearch project, and really it's just, I want the kids to research something they're interested in. So often kids graduate from high school and they think research is about dead authors. And so ideally we'd like to teach them that really research is a life skill. And so they might choose something like a career, and then they would go out, they have to do an on-site paper. So they've got to do a descriptive paper, they've got to do 3 interviews, they've got to do a research paper. Then they've got to do a doing experience. That was a little bit of a problem with the kid who did his on bungee jumping. Parents were not thrilled about that. But ideally it lets them, we write in all these different forms, genres, and then and put it all together, and it just flows. And I've had some of the most amazing papers, like on electrical engineering and just the things that, well, except for the 31 pages I had on the development of colored cotton in West Texas. Gosh, grading that was not fun in my life. But the little girl was her dad was in agriculture, and this was a new development, and she was extraordinarily interested. Contacted and to the lady that developed that in California and interviewed her online. So it's been real exciting for them to learn to do also some interview method, and we practice interviewing because that's really where they're heading in so many respects. So highly interdisciplinary.
Yes. Tell us about your forensics and what you're doing with the deal we were talking about the other day about the actual court cases, trials, things that are going on.
Okay, well, forensics is a new thing every semester or whatever, but I love to have as many guest speakers in. I love to go to as many field trips as they'll let me in. I think that's hugely important to take them places, but they didn't know about some of Lubbock's main cases. For example, the serial killer here in Lubbock that put the girls in the suitcases, and then also Scott Dunn case. There's several of them, and so a lot of the people that come in and talk to my students refer to those cases and they refer to those evidence. But why it's kind of really fun is this semester I have Price's uncle that was the defendant on that case with Rodriguez, and Reagan's uncle is the prosecutor. I'm gonna have fun. I knew it. I'm so excited. And like we do it just leads itself to that. So like week after next, I'm having them top their own blood because none of them know their blood tops. And then we're gonna learn, about that as far as, well, what does that mean? Who's donors? If you're pregnant with a certain blood type, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, forensics so leads itself to all of that. And I'd also say with chemistry, one of my favorite units is nuclear chem, because most students don't know what Pantex is. They don't know what Yucca Mountain is. They don't know that there's waste stored in Midland, Texas, and close, even closer than that to us. And so I try to bring in the history of that as well. And then also, for them to know to be educated voters, because they're the group that's going to be making those decisions. So.
Anybody else have some great ways that you integrate other subject matters into your? Do you do any of that? I know you do. What kinds of things do you integrate into your teaching in Spanish?
Well, we just got done with the Hispanic, people that are notable in the United States are Hispanic. They know, like, for example, Jennifer Lopez, they know she's Hispanic, but they know she was Puerto Rican. Mark Anthony, and also people that, Sonia Sotomayor, she's one of the Supreme Judge. She knows she was Hispanic from Puerto Rico. So they got to like, wow, they're not just only actors and actors, they're people really in society, doctors, politicians, and things like that. So it was really neat for them to see that besides Mexico, other countries speak Spanish. And they got to see that. And the contribution, how Hispanic culture has impacted the United States within the last 30 years.
Absolutely.
So it was really neat.
I know you do some.
Well, I've been down in my room, I'm just like, it's full of stuff. It makes me happy. But I've told someone that everything in there has a story. And I'm finding myself to be the old guy now. I asked kids in class the other day, I said, okay, I said, what is the dial tone? And nobody raised their hand.
Right.
They didn't know what a busy signal was. And so I forgot what the text was. It lent itself to this illustration, but I had to walk them through what it was like to grow up with a party line telephone and 6 families on one phone, and they just couldn't, we're trying to tell them, that we had to actually go to a library and pull out books and pray that your friend didn't already check the book out, and they would click and their research papers. So just you pull things from my collection and pass them around as props, or look, here's something from before you were born, that kind of stuff. To just try and connect dots. But it's really scary that I'm finding my illustrations a lot of times I have to explain it, because it's from a time they've never seen.
This is a typewriter.
Exactly. I have that on my desk. Yeah.
Well, I've got a couple more things I'd like to show you here. This is one that I use in my class when we get to the reproductive system, and yes, we do talk about sex in my class. And one of those things that I talk about is, today's society is all about, your personal freedoms and your personal rights, and you're entitled to this, and you're entitled to that. And then you compare that to what the Word of God says, and it's like the Word of God is kind of like a killjoy. It's kind of like one of those things of thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. And they're going through and they're looking more at that aspect of it, and is God really trying to protect you? Is He really trying to bless you by asking you to wait to have sex until you're in a married situation? So I go through this little exercise with them, and I say, is God really trying to just make you miserable as a teenager by asking you to wait, or does He have something better for you? And so we go through this, and so I'm not going to just give them book, chapter, and verse and say, God said, thou shalt not sleep with other people, and I'm not going to do that. I want them to see there is a hidden blessing in there. So with your chalk and with your table partner, I'd like for you to put at least one statement down for each one of these categories. So monetary costs that you think would happen with someone that was found in a teen pregnancy situation. What would it cost you socially? How would that affect your future plans? How would it affect you physically? How would it affect you spiritually? So, work it out with your table group, and let's see what you come up
I went this way. I just didn't cost them care. What did you want for social cost? I'm embarrassed. Yep.
Yeah, I said no
Tried to make you a nice video.
always love that either. And there's other things too, with stress, you can be. And was it tough thing in the body? Okay, you did this one, 2 or 3. Personally, and and then he also talks about homosexuality. He talks about sexual sin and what it costs you. I mean,
Feel stuck in the future, there's kind of, you don't see.
on this app, you can just write culture war. I'll email it to you.
Yes. Lots of sleep.
Let's hear some of the things that you have to say. I'm going to call on each table, okay? So I need to hear something from each and every table. again, we want to make this a situation where it's relevant to the teen that's sitting in the desk, okay? So I'm not just throwing a book at them and saying, you know, you must obey God, you know, kind of thing, and just kind of the hell damnation thing, but you know, if the thinking through these aspects makes them stop and think, and it also helps to have the birthing video at the end of this.
And then they understand the physical cost.
Well, yes, they do. And, you know, the guys are like, oh, and the girls are like, I'm not ever having children. Okay, we're starting over here. Share a gem that you have on your desk.
What did you want, which one do I want to do? We put our social plans, no Sadie Hawkins dance.
Okay, that is true.
Isolation.
Well, we put isolation. Was really-
Isolation?
Yeah, that's really.
Okay, all right. What's on your table that's special, young man back there?
We put the cost of the hospital bills just for having a baby, and then the child care afterwards.
Okay, any idea what those costs are at this point? You
No,
just
no
had a
clue.
grandbaby, what is the cost?
I have no clue.
What is it?
I don't know.
Depends.
We've got a couple $1,000 bill.
Oh, you just had a baby
Yeah,
recently.
we're
so-
sitting a few thousand up there.
You
That's
know,
a 10 to 10 days to hospital stay too.
When my youngest was born 13 years ago, we got, you know, the bill of what it all was and what we owed after insurance, and it was like $52,000.
Yes.
And Calvin was 300.
Yeah.
Camille stayed in ICU for 5 days. After she was born, we paid her off her junior year in high school.
Yes.
We made payments. So if something's wrong with that baby, you're gonna be.
Yeah, okay, that's just getting them here.
I want you to say that. That's ridiculous. I've never.
That's ridiculous, and I'm never having
All
children.
right, now, I hope that for those of you that don't have children yet, I hope I'm not discouraging you.
People are starting to think about that month.
I'm sorry, I just moved this around and she said, that's ridiculous and I'm never having children.
Well, we also put that, my daughter just, she's not a teenager, but she's a single mom, and just, you know, she never, got her college degree, and so, you know, she has to work for jobs that are, you know, make less money, and so you just don't have the size of income that you would had you gone through it the right way, and, you know.
See, these guys have no idea how many diapers a kid goes through in a day.
wow.
How many do they do? How many do they do? 10, 12?
About 12.
Okay, all right. So, when you go out and buy those humongous packages, that won't even last you a week hardly. Okay? Yeah, $40 a piece, not to mention the food, and not to mention they're growing like a weed, and they've got clothes, and, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Okay? All right. Let's hear this back table for, anything else, any of the others, what do you got?
For future, we put, you know, is college gonna fit into, can I do this? Can I be a parent, go to college? Am I gonna be able to get married? Who's gonna want to marry somebody with a kid?
Exactly. And you know, those things do have happy endings many times, and you can find someone that will marry you, and you can go to college, but it just makes it
It's
really
really hard.
hard.
Just harder.
Easier road,
That's right, it is not the easy path. What about your table?
She said the physicals cost, teenage stretch marks were not really.
Stretch marks at 18.
Look scared.
I was thinking, you know, girls at home, you know, none of the boyfriends stay. Or fathers, I should call them
And
fathers.
that's pretty,
Abandonment.
yes.
I'd say, as you teach this, it's also important that you point out abortion is wrong. And what this does, this just encourages abortion.
Of course.
And so we need to balance that. That's not, if you're a Christian, that's not an option,
Absolutely.
not an option.
But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit it off.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, Kyle, do you know, you got something?
On the social or the physical?
Any of it?
Okay, social, they really feel isolated. They don't have no support because they're still teenagers. They cannot hang out with their friends. You know, they feel too young to be with their older mother, so they just feel like, I'm all alone. I don't know where do I fit in. And the kids' depression and kid cries all the time, so they really feel like completely trapped. So, yeah.
High
It's
stress.
just high stress and, yeah.
For physical, but no sleep.
Well, we also put, not only does it besides teenage stretch marks, that there's a higher chance of there being something wrong with the baby when they're born too young.
The spiritual cost, I mean, too, you think about that, you know, you think about the guilt and the shame and the, you know, that's associated with, you know, so is that,
But
that's
you know,
still yours?
but surprisingly, in realms outside the Christian community, that's going away.
I know,
And it's almost like a badge of honor now.
yeah, it's true. They have
and
baby
socially
showers
too,
for them
yes.
and all kinds of stuff, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, Amy, do you have anything else to add to that?
Well, she just took what
I
I was
did,
gonna
I'm
say,
sorry.
so right when my mouth opened up too. Yeah, just the same, just going through that whole process, just the separation from God, and, obviously, like, it has a big effect on you a long time later, and just working through all that the rest of your life, not being able to go back, change it,
That is true.
wondering how things would have been if you would have chosen something different.
Yeah. Coulda, woulda, shoulda,
Well,
thing going on.
Even STDs, I mean, you
Yes.
start thinking about that, you know, just getting into that for the physical.
Yeah, and they're shocked to learn that there are people out there that have STDs that won't tell you until after the event, that, oh, by the way, you probably need to go get checked.
Yeah.
I got herpes.
Yeah.
And then now you got it. And they're just like, they're horrified, that, how dare you? I'm like, well, they don't have a big H on their forehead.
No.
I'm on HIV or herpes, they don't say that, There's people that will do that. Okay, we need to kind of wrap up, but, I wanted to show you this. This is wonderful. I'm so glad that we've got people around here that are willing to share their stuff. This is not mine. This is actually Miss Anderson's across the hall. And I have struggled. I don't know about you, but I have struggled with late work, what to do, how to track it. Whew! This takes care of it right here. Okay? This, they have to admit to, I just messed around, didn't manage my time well, and I know that I'm gonna have a late grade. I forgot it at home, and I'm probably gonna get a late grade. I have a parent note, and you can attach that to this, and then hang on to this, and put it in a file or something like that to remind you, and then when mom comes in mad or dad comes in mad, you can pull out your little blue slips and say, look, here they are, right here. This is sweet. And Miss Anderson came up with this, and I stole it, but with her permission. Okay?
And Miss Holly has a similar one that Beth and I stole with her permission.
Yes.
And it actually has their little signature on there too, and they have to write out why they did it. And I like this better because I think it'll go quicker. Yeah, since it has the reasons.
Well, they have to fill it out,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
they have to staple it to the paper,
Turn it
and they
in.
have to turn it in, okay? So it's a blank paper that they're turning in because they didn't do it, and they do that. I keep it, and yes.
I have a question about maybe what our policy is at school. I've got kids that will come to school without it, and then they'll say, I can either go home or I can text my mom and she'll send you a note. Well, I thought they had to bring the note in.
Right.
They do.
They do.
So, okay, there it is.
So if the parent note is not in my email box, by the end of class, then,
Oh, well, they could do that. They'll go to the bathroom and then I've got a parent note in the email
unless
box.
their phone's over there.
Oh, well, there it is.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, they can work around that, I'm sure, but, I don't know, for
They're
me, this
resourceful.
helps. So I don't know about you, I was pretty sure I wasn't the only one struggling with that.
Yeah,
Well,
we all
this-
are.
You can also
This
put it
one's
on
the
the
McCown
web too.
Yes.
This holds them accountable.
Yes,
It does, it's nice.
Yeah.
So this is really
That's
good.
why I like it. I have a question.
Sure.
This is kind of on this subject,
Okay.
but it floors me. I'm finding parents still don't know what a P means in the grade book. Do y'all run into that? When you put a P for pending?
Pending.
If you put a P for pending
And they're
for what?
talking,
If it's late?
no,
Yeah.
if I have it, but it's not graded.
Oh, okay.
That, and so they're jumping on their kid, but it's an M if I don't
Well,
have it.
I don't put pending in there if I'm just waiting to grade it, because that actually screws up their grade point average.
No, it does
No,
not.
pending doesn't.
Only an M
Well,
does.
I don't know, that's too much putting stuff in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Baxter.